So here is how people will interpret the Bible improperly in order to manipulate it to try to suggest that it says things that it just flat out does not. There's a story in the book of Judges where Samson ties two fox tails together with a torch to burn up the fields of the Philistines. Now, this is included in a long laundry list of his accomplishments, his accolades, his pedigree, his feats of strength, so on and so forth. Now, what most people neglect to keep in mind is the fact that he was actually a leader in Israel. This is the book of Judges. He was a judge. This is before the kings. This is before King Solomon. This is before King David. This is before King Saul. So prior to kings, Israelites had judges, and so he was a magistrate in the land of Israel. So not only was he freakishly strong, but he was also freakishly intelligent and wise. And I mean, he played games with the Philistines and gambled with them over riddles. I mean, that was the whole precept to Delilah solving the riddle of the honey and the lion and all of that. So he was smart. One of these feats of strength, most people include this in his feats of strength, is that he tied two foxtails together with a torch to burn up the fields of the Philistines. I believe this was pretty soon before he slaughtered 100 of their enemies with the jawbone of a mule or something along those lines. And as a child, I always imagined that he had actually taken the two foxes together as they're doing their thing, and caveman bow tied them together and stuck a torch in there and set them free. Well, that would be dumb, because that would hurt them. They wouldn't be as mobile, might paralyze them since you're messing with their spine, and frankly, you're not going to get a very strong knot from doing that. However, if you use a rope and a clove hitch, you could clove hitch their tails together, have a little bit of a leash with a torch, and then guess what? Now they're able to freely run away from each other and tug-of-war this zigzag pattern all across the field as they're running from the fire that they're creating. Intermittently probably wrestle around and fight and argue, and then, oh crap, my tail's on fire, and bolt in opposite directions. And then tug-of-war, zigzag across the field. This is a tactician's military strategy. This guy was smart. He wasn't just strong, he was smart. So, people may use that as an example of how the Bible is corrupted or wrong or exaggeratory or whatever it may be. It's like, oh, he tied two foxtails together. Well, that's pretty much all the Bible says. He tied their tails together with a torch. It doesn't say how he did it. The immediate, at face value, kindergarten level understanding of it is, he tied two tails in a knot. But a more mature understanding of it would be that he utilized a rope. The Bible doesn't need to say he utilized a rope, especially when ink is expensive and paper is expensive and difficult to make. You're going to leave the common sense details out, right? I mean, we're not going for verbosity here. Keep in mind that this is a 80 author book or something like that? Each person being used as a pen? So, how would you do it? Well, I would trap these foxes, subdue them, and tie a knot around their tail. In fact, while they're caught in the trap, might as well just tie a knot around their tail. Tie a knot around his tail using a rope. Tie a torch. Release the traps. Let them go. They'll burn down the countryside. He wasn't just strong. He was smart. And that's just one example in which people will hyper-focus on the primary. Oh, Samson was strong. But that's all he was. He was just a big, blockhead, dummy, strong man. Nothing in his noggin. But they won't read the rest of that story to consider the riddles that he taunted the Philistines with. You can't cherry pick anything. You got to take everything in its full context. Consider that these were real people living in real times under real circumstances, completely far removed from your own personal experiences and your own circumstances and what you're accustomed to, and try to put yourself in the shoes of somebody living in that day and age, in that culture, in that time, with those laws, rules, social norms, decorum, all of those things. And then and only then can you truly begin to understand the text of the word. You don't have to be some, PhD scholar. You just have to be a little bit empathetic to the people that are in the stories that are being discussed, and try the best you can to understand their perspective, their perception, their understanding of the world from their shoes, not your own in the future. Oh, well, why wouldn't they just do this when they know that such and such is going to happen? No, you're 2,000 years removed on a continent that pretty much had nothing to do with what was going on over there. You can't do that. The hindsight 2020, well, evolution is right because evolution always dictates that this is going to be the outcome. No, evolution isn't sentient. If evolution were to actually exist, it's not sentient. It doesn't know the future. It can't tell that this eye may be useful at some juncture in the future millennia. It's just a vestigial organ that's wasting up time, blood, energy, and it would mean that nobody would have eyeballs because survival of the fittest. And why are you wasting your blood supply on that ridiculous deformity? You can trust the Bible if you read it in its proper context. The context that it was designed to be understood in.